Welcome, students. Today, we're going to learn about cryptography.
What is cryptography, Professor?
Cryptography is the method of protecting information through the use of codes that prevent any other party from revealing the secret information. In fact, people have been using cryptography to protect information for at least 4,000 years. There are 5 primary functions of cryptography. First of which is that it allows cryptography keys to be exchanged between sender and receiver. This is also known as key exchange. Next is that it assures that no one can read the message except the intended party. This is also known as confidentiality. The next primary function of cryptography is that it assures that the information has not been altered in any way. This is also known as integrity. Next is that cryptography must prove the receiver's identity. This is also known as authentication. And finally, the last primary function of cryptography is that it proves that the sender really sent the information. This is also known as non-repudiation.
I see, but where is cryptography used?
Cryptography is used everywhere, from securing communications with browsers to encrypting files on disks and more. Cryptography is found everywhere, including your phone's password. Before we get into some cryptography techniques, it's important to understand how encryption works. First, we start with plain text. This is our visible, unencrypted information. Next, we must pick an encryption method. This is the process of converting information into secret code to hide its true meaning. After that, a key is required. Keys are used to encrypt data from plain text to ciphertext, and ciphertext is the unreadable output from the encryption method.
Professor, can you explain more about keys? I'm still confused about how they're used.
Of course. Now there are actually 2 different kinds of keys, symmetric and asymmetric. Encryption techniques or methods can use either one of them. Those that use symmetric keys share only one private key between the sender and receiver. The same key encrypts and decrypts the data. It's fast, but since private keys are shared, it's easy to gain access to your confidential emails with the same key. On the other hand, methods that use asymmetric keys share 2 keys, a public and a private key. The public key encrypts data, while its corresponding private key decrypts it. The great thing about this is that senders don't need to share their private key with others, but this method is much slower than using symmetric keys. Another thing to note is that some methods also use hash functions, which is basically some math equation to irreversibly encrypt data, and it provides a digital fingerprint.
Why are there so many things used to encrypt information?
Well, each one is optimized for a specific application. Public keys are used for confidentiality. Private keys are also used for confidentiality and non-repudiation, and hash functions are used for message integrity. Some of the main encryption algorithms are DES, a symmetric key encryption that is no longer widely used nowadays, but serves as a standard for other encryption tools. AES, another symmetric key encryption used by governments and other secure organizations, and RSA, an asymmetric key encryption widely used for data sent online. Now, I will be showing off a few small examples of some encryption techniques. First, I will be showing off Caesar's cipher. It is one of the simplest and most widely known encryption techniques. The first step is picking a word in plain text that we want to encrypt. As an example, I will be using war. Next, we must decide the shift. For this example, I'm going to use a right shift of 3. Now that we have all we need, the first thing I'm going to do is plot our word war on the outer ring. Next is to rotate the inner wheel by our shift, which is 3 times to the right. And now as we see, our green marked letters on the outer ring are now lined up with new letters on the inner ring. These new letters are what form our encrypted ciphertext. And that is all there is to Caesar's cipher. Next, we're going to be looking at the rail fence cipher. As with any cipher, our first step is going to be choosing a message. For now, I'll use battle as an example. Now that we have our message, the next step in the rail fence technique is to write this message in a diagonal fashion like this. And now you can simply write the top line followed by the bottom line And this is our ciphertext. So, what did we learn today?
Cryptography is used to protect information through the use of techniques to make sure that it cannot be readable to anyone that is not supposed to see it. There are various different methods to encrypt information, and many popular methods choose to use either symmetric or asymmetric keys.